All right, students, we're going to quickly go through project management. So a project is a temporary endeavor having a defined beginning and an end that is usually constrained by a date. And importantly, the second point, the primary challenge of project management is to achieve all of the project goals and objectives while honoring the preconceived project constraints. And it's a common thing in all projects that it has to get done with certain constraints and certain limitations, and that's why project individuals, project teams are usually, really high performance teams that can be able to find creative and innovative solutions that can work around constraints. All right, so this is the strength of projects and project managers we're talking about. All right, projects never fail because of methodology and tools, it fails because of people, and we can't emphasize enough how important it is for that human resource. And here goes another question. How does human resources affect the success or failure of a project? And that's, you would have to expand on how the persons who are in the project team, what are their characteristics and their attributes, and how does the human resource manager now play a role in ensuring that the members of his or her team are getting the job done. So why is project management so useful right now? Because it's because of the need for speed. Innovation is not new, but the rate of innovation has increased. Um, More and more work in organizations are being driven by teams, and we said this in the last hour. Why? Because there will be some persons amongst your department that have a lot more capacity intellectually, and can be able to get a lot more things done when compared or when looked at in relative to other like employees. So project structure, highly receptive to new ideas. It has great visibility. Um, the, every member of the project team is accountable, is held to high standards, and is very accountable. Um, Project team members do not have distractions. It has really good cost control. I hope you all don't mind having some coffee. Has good cost control, has a lot of adaptability. The project manager usually has authority over all of his staff and all of his resources, his or her resources. And there's a lot. There's actually sometimes zero bureaucracy, zero red tape, zero hierarchy. It's just project manager and his team. And usually that, and I don't even have to give it any kind of vertical appearance. There's the project manager and his team that surrounds him or her. All right. So projects do have with it some possibility, and that means sometimes you may be selected for a project now, you may not get selected for another project. Work options may be drying up. There's no clear career path except that you can become well known in the project management world to be a good execution of projects, and project managers do lend themselves to becoming good operations managers and also good CEOs as well. So we compared the functional manager versus the project manager, and functional managers are usually specialists in their areas. They are direct technical supervising persons that are specific in that field, whereas a project manager is a generalist with a wide amount of management experience. They can oversee multiple functional areas. They can oversee pharmacy, they can oversee lab, they can oversee a customer service. A project manager can do many functions. That's why I'm saying a project manager can lend itself to becoming an operations person or a CEO. All right, because of the nature of the generalist background that they come from, it's very easy for a project manager to transition from middle management to the C-suite. Okay, a project manager is a facilitator and a skilled negotiator. You must be able to synthesize and make coherent wholes from many pieces of material. It's good. It's responsible for organizing staff and budgeting, directing, planning. Skills of a project manager must have great, strong team building skills, structure and alignment. Must be very disciplined. Must be a good communicator, and you'll see in the next part here. In West's 7 habits for the project manager. First, understand, then to be understood. Put things in priority. Thinking win-win. And when we think win-win and we reflect on conflict, win-win is win-win is collaborating, and project managers do collaborate significantly, because when you collaborate, you can now get the absolute best out of all the resources that you have available to you. So begin with the end in mind, being results oriented. It's also vision based. When we have a vision that we can create, we work with that and we can come back. Now project managers usually are given the vision already in which to execute upon. Always synthesizing, always sharpening the sword, constantly learning and upgrading. And as all high performance team members and all project team members, they are generally constantly learning, constantly upgrading. Um, so this is a given. So projects succeed because you have executive management support, aka management will, um, clear business objectives, minimize scope, meaning you don't have the project team doing a whole set of things. They need to be focused on one particular project. Then when that is completed, another project can come on. All right. So you need to have minimized scope. Formal methodology, they must use sound management practices in which they can get their projects completed and succeeded and be successful in their projects. And skilled staff, we can't underestimate and underscore the need for skilled staff. And project management uses all of these 9 skill areas, which are all subspecialties of management: HR management, procurement management, risk management, cost and quality management. So the project statement overview. Why do we want this project? It is essential that your project can be quantifiable and measurable. It can tell us if the project can be successful or not. All projects success speak to increases in revenue, decreases in cost, and improvement in services. These three are the main results of engaging in projects. Building blocks of competitive advantage, becoming more efficient, having higher quality, being more innovative, and having better customer responsiveness are your building blocks for competitive advantage. And I urge all students who are in this class and are also sharing with community to take note that these are the building blocks of competitive advantage. In all projects, there are assumptions, and in all projects, there are risks. And these risks are things that you have no control over in management, and assumptions are certain things that you have to take a look at that are there. These are the constraints that are there. The project overview statement must address the three main stakeholders: your senior management team, to ensure that you have management will support the customer, the end user, the end customer, the client, and finally your project team. Your project team needs to understand what the project is all about. And then we went on to talk about the RFP and how important an RFP. Usually, an RFP is an external document. Um, is an external document because the firm cannot find the solution to the problem internally. RFPs must be clear. It must address the problem, the legal requirement, the customer's requests, the needs, the legal requirements. It must talk about the statement of works. It must state the deliverables you as the customer would want to have, the deliverables and the measurables as well. Dates and details on what your deliverables are. And in evaluating the RFP, you want to look for customer experience. You want to look for contractor experience. And I remember mentioning that should your contractor be a brand new company and they have no projects under their belt, that they can use the resumes of the staff that they have as experience that they are bringing to the table, so it can compensate for the lack of experience of the new business entity. The contractor's proposal should have the approach to deliverables, its schedule, the experience of the staff, and the costs associated. The technical component of the contractor's response should have the a clear understanding of what needs to be done, the approach that they propose to use, and should be able to technically demonstrate what are the benefits to the customer with their approach. As managers, you need to look at the deliverables, the project schedule, the project organization, how the work and the resources will be used, and what related experience the contractor has or can bring to the table as well. Costing, we spoke about costing and about escalation of cost and cost overruns. And you need to ensure that in your RFPs, there are components of your RFP that protects you, the customer, from cost overruns whilst the project is getting done. And this is where you need to be very competent in being able to analyze your proposal from your contractor, because you don't want to accept a contractor's proposal that might look good on paper and might look good in terms of cost, but in the middle of the project they find themselves in difficulty because they did not envision the scope of work properly, and are not able to complete the task, and all that puts you into mess a whole mess where you have to now stop a project, engage in legal action against a contractor, and now rehire someone to come in and continue the project. So let's be very careful of cost overruns and ensure that there are things in place for escalation, contingency. Make sure your documentation is on point. And I remember mentioning that in most projects, the client, which would be you if you're putting out the RFP, you will want to have a QS quantity surveyor that is going to be liaising with your contractor of choice to ensure that, one, before they even hire them, that their cost estimates are on point, are within market rate. And when they do come in to get the project done, your QS is the person who's going to be ensuring that they are not overcharging you and that they are not undercharging you and compromising on quality. So your quantity surveyor is an important person, especially when it comes to large construction-based projects. All right, so that essentially is project management. it's project management is a specialty, is a specialist type subset of management. It's actually quite enjoyable. It can propel you and position you to take up roles in operations management, chief operations officer, even chief executive officer. Um, it project management today is very much modern day type management. It does not have much of the elements of old management practices. So project management is certainly something new, something that's widely used and will continue to be used because of its relative success rate. So we have done a quick run through of those lectures. We am inviting questions and queries. What I can tell you is yes, there is a question in your final exam on project management, as well as there is a question on HR and on conflict. So all of what we've reviewed so far is relevant, especially to your final exam, and even in your second in course assessment, I will attempt to fit in some of these lectures in your second in course. Second in course is just going to be 2 questions. All right. So any questions, any queries? Anything you all want to discuss? Letting you up early today. So look out today for your literature review. I already have the name assignments and yes, Kavita P. What about the lit review? Kavita P. I was not going to ask this. Yeah, it's going to be posted today. By this evening, it should be up. It should be up. I'll remind. I'll talk to Dr. Maraj. It should be up by this evening. All right. Okay. So if there are no more questions, I will bid you all goodbye and see you, most of you, tomorrow for community. We have to finish out business plan, and if we finish on time, we can get started on some reviews. For sure, we first of reviewing by tomorrow. We should be completed with all the reviews, so that should be good. I think Zara, I have to do I have to do a first exam with Zara still, so for farm admin. So if there are no further questions, I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye. Again, I'm available via WhatsApp. You can call, you can message, or email. All right. So take care, and all the best with your lit review.